the reason why I started swimming in the first place. It's because I loved it. You know, that little girl that just was swimming and having fun. Adrenaline ran through my body. I was like, I'm ready to compete right now. I'm like, wow, this is actually happening.
Congratulations, Remedy Rule, for making it to the Tokyo Olympics. And thank you so much for working so hard to represent the Philippines.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for having me.
I am so excited for you. This is the first time that you're going to be competing in the Olympics. You know, some athletes that we've featured here on the show, they specifically competed in Olympic trials. Was that the case for you? And how did you get in?
Philippine swimming Olympic qualifying process is a little different. We don't have a trials. So instead, there's a qualifying time period from March of 2019 until end of June of this year. And during that time, there's certain meets that are Olympic qualifying approved. So at those meets, we're trying to hit a certain time standard. And there's two time standards. There's an A standard and a B standard. An A standard automatically qualifies you, and then the B standard is a considered time. So if you hit the B standard, your time is considered for invitation. So Luke and I both hit the B standard, and then so our times were qualified, and we ended up being the fastest male and female respectively for the Philippines. So that's how we ended up being selected.
I'm getting goosebumps. It's almost like I'm feeling how you were feeling, how you're feeling right now. But let me ask you straight, how did you feel when you found out that you actually qualified and that you're going to be representing the Philippines in the Olympics?
Adrenaline ran through my body. I was like, I'm ready to compete right now. And I just wanted to share with those who have helped me get to where I am today. And just, yeah, I couldn't stop smiling. And even thinking about it now, I'm like, wow, this is actually happening.
Now that you're at this point, right? Sometimes it's also good to look back on some of the challenges, and to tell those challenges, like, you know, see, you made it, right? But when you look back, what would you say would be the toughest point? What were the sacrifices that you've had to make in order to reach this point?
I guess the one that comes most to mind is with COVID. The I mean, the whole pandemic shut the world down for, you know, I mean, it's still affecting the world right now. So I would say that was probably the most challenging. And, you know, I love swimming and I love what I get to do. And that was taken away for a period of time. So that was really hard. Fortunately, you know, I was able to stay healthy as well as my friends and family. So I tried to just focus on, you know, what I still had instead of what I lost. And then, luckily, Texas, which is where I trained, they reopened pools in May, so I was able to get back in the water after over 2 months away. And then so getting back in shape after that, and then also just knowing that the future is very unknown. And I mean, it's always unknown. I think COVID just it's taught me a lot, like learning to control what I can control, which would be, you know, how I show up in the present moment with my effort and attitude.
I love that, learning to control what you can control. And what you can control now is training more for the Olympics. You mentioned earlier, you did say, I'm ready to compete now, which is what, you know, you said when you found out that you were invited and that you were going to be an Olympian. But what other preparations are you doing? Is it like how many hours in the pool a day and stuff like that? Even your diet?
So my schedule, I swim 9 swim practices a week. So some days I have more than one swim practice, and those are anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. And then I lift 3 times a week, which is roughly an hour. So that's just with the exercising, but also want to focus on recovery. So I think recovery is a big thing going into like these big meets. So making sure I'm sleeping right, stretching, rolling out. But for me personally, the main thing I want to focus on for these last few weeks is the mental game. Since, you know, at this point, I've done the bulk of the work. And so it's just, you know, making sure during the high pressure situation of the Olympics, you know, fears and doubts come in during high pressure situations. So knowing like, okay, like that's going to come and that's okay. But refocusing on what I know to be true to myself and what I can control. which would be my effort and attitude. I can't control what any other swimmer is doing. So that's what I'll be focusing on and fine tuning for the next few weeks.
You know, one thing that I think is going well for you as well is are having fun. You have fun out there. I've seen some previous interviews, and you're always like with this big smile, talking about your performance, talking about your team, talking about the people who've helped you, talking about the people you train with, and you're always smiling. It's so refreshing. It's almost too light, right? Remedy?
Yeah,
Right?
I'm very giggly for sure.
No, but it shows your love for the sport. Like you're not doing this because you want to be hard on yourself or you're not pushing yourself. It's something that I think translates is that you really love this sport. Can you take us through that journey of this love affair with swimming and water, and how did it start?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, it's crazy because I think about, my life and I don't really remember a time where I wasn't swimming. So I got into the water at a really young age because my parents like going on beach vacations by the water. So they wanted me to be safe in the water. And then when I got into swim lessons, they're like, hey, you're good at swimming, or like you're picking it up, like maybe you should try the summer swim team. And so then that kind of started the journey with swimming. We had a great age group coach come in when I was 10. He kind of showed me the passion and commitment to swimming and what I could get out of it if I did commit. I think the people are what have helped me stay in the sport for so long. Because anything you do, it's not easy. Even if you love it, like there's going to be some days that it's tough. So just the people, there's something about swimming that like really bonds you to your teammates, and to be able to share that like connection and all the things that swimming has taught me. And even, whenever I will be done swimming, like I know I'll take the lessons I've learned, and also like all the people that I've met through swimming, I will take with me through the rest of my life. Like swimming has given me lifelong friends.
Was there ever time when you thought of giving up? Like, it's too hard.
Oh, yeah. I'm not trying to laugh because that's definitely not a happy times to think of, like, when I've wanted to quit, or thinking like, oh, like I've peaked, like I'm done, like I don't think I'm gonna get any better. And being where I am now and thinking about back to those times when I was like, oh, I'm done, I'm not gonna get any better. Like I was like 15 years old, and I'm like, wow. So just, I think it is like when, not even just with swimming, but with anything, like if you are going through tough times and you're like, I don't know what this is gonna look like, and it doesn't look like what I want it to look like. My club coach actually showed me like this little graphic, and it was like the path to success. And what we think it's like is like straight line, but then he's like, no, it's more like all curved, and sometimes it looks like you're going backwards, sometimes you are going backwards, but really, you're following this line to like where you want to be. So I think just sticking with that and leaning on the people you care about during times that when it isn't going quite the way you want it to be.
Learning a lot from you now. Also, earlier when we mentioned about having fun, have fun with what you're doing, and then now just keep at it and rely on the people around you. Those are very, very good pieces of advice. But I'd like to ask you for a third one, because at your young age you've achieved a lot. Like at 15 you thought you would quit swimming, you're 24 now, you're at it, and now you're going to be an Olympian. What would your advice be to maybe young people out there who would like to reach their dreams?
I can't remember who says it, but it's a quote, and it's just like the world needs people who have come alive. So I think that's the first step, finding something you're passionate about, finding something that makes you want to wake up in the morning and early and jump out of bed. And I think first finding that dream or goal, that thing that drives you to, not only just to that goal, but also to like the best version of yourself. So I think that would be my first step of advice is find what you're passionate about, and then go do that. Because I think that's another reason why I'm so smiley and happy, because I feel like, I've cultivated a life that I love, and that makes me feel very alive.
I love that. Bringing it back to the Olympics, though, the last time that the Philippines has sent a swim contingent to the Olympic Games is in Beijing in 2008. And now there's you and Luke, right? What are you looking forward to the most in this competition?
I think we can all reach higher levels of ourselves when we're surrounded by people that are better than us. So to be at a meet that is the pinnacle of sport, I think it really brings out the best. So I'm really looking forward to like compete at a sport that's given me so much and that I've loved so much at the highest level. And then, I mean, speaking of the fun, Luke's like my closest friend on the Philippines team. So to be able to like share this experience with somebody who really gets it and we get each other. So that I'm looking forward to that, as well as some of the other staff that I've met through the SEA Games. I'm excited to be able to see them again since it's been a while since I've been able to see them.
So the Philippines has yet to win an Olympic gold, right? I'm sure every time this topic comes up, everyone's wondering when will this be the year and what sport and all that. But we are reading about how strong our athletes are that we're sending to the Olympics for this year. What do you think are our chances?
I have to admit, I'm more of a player of sports and I don't watch a lot of sports, but I would love to learn more about the other Filipino athletes that are competing and be able to cheer them on. So I guess that is my answer. I have not done enough research, but I will be cheering very hard for them to, or for all of us to just do our best at the Olympics.
Awesome, love that. When you get a chance, you can check out our website and our YouTube channel. We have a segment called So Game, in which we will feature you as well. But in the past, we've featured the likes of Irish Magno, who's a boxer, and she's Filipino. And she's also competing. They say that she's really strong. Some of our golfers are actually strong as well. And so, yeah, we're praying for you guys. What will be your message to the Filipinos, to the fans?
We feel the love. So thank you for like all the support. And I mean, yeah, there's 19 people competing, but it's more than just those 19 people. Like we didn't get here alone. So just to extend my thanks.
I love that. What's the best thing about representing the Philippines?
Just all the people I've met, I've felt endlessly supported by the Philippines and very welcomed. I've been taught some Tagalog phrases.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Let's hear some.
Well, my accent is not great, but first things I was taught was gutomoko. I'm hungry, so that's important. And then I know some of the greetings, magandang umaga, magandang hapon. Although I have been told if I pronounce it incorrectly, it can mean beautiful woman instead of beautiful afternoon.
It can mean beautiful Japanese woman.
Okay. Yes, that's what I've been told if I pronounce it incorrectly, and I'm like, oh, my accent is. Well, then good evening, which would be here is magandang gabi. This is Luke's favorite word in Tagalog or phrase is kili kili mabaho, more because of how you say it. I mean, he's also a boy, so.
Right.
Maraming salamat. So.
Yes, maraming salamat is thank you. Maraming salamat for making time for us. And I know it's just so nice talking to you. If you can grant me one more question. You seem, like I said earlier, like easygoing. You seem to be having so much fun in life and all that. It translates with the way you speak. And, I can feel the sincerity and the authenticity. But how do you have fun? Because, training for the Olympics, it's intense. You're going to be competing at that pinnacle. So how do you relax yourself?
Twofold. I think one, going back to the reason why I started swimming in the first place. It's because I loved it. That little girl that just was swimming and having fun and not worrying about times and not worrying about what other people, were thinking, just enjoying the water. So I think it's that. And then also just, just being myself. And yes, I'm going to talk about like the people again. I feel like it's just, I've been able to be surrounded by amazing people like through swimming. So I think they've really made it fun. And so, I mean, it also, like, when it has been hard, when we got to wake up early at 5 a.m. for practice, to know that we're all doing it together, and finding fun and finding joy in the normal day-to-day things. I think that's what I try to focus on.
Right. Well, and on that note, like I said earlier, we'll be praying for you. Good luck on your journey. Please bring home the gold, but no pressure.
I will do my best. Thank you. This is fun.